AEC Business, the construction industry's innovation and technology show.
Hello and welcome to this first episode of 2026 of the AEC Business Podcast. I'm your host, Aarni Heiskanen, and my guest comes from Finland. He's Aleksi Heinonen. Aleksi is an operations management consultant in construction and a recognized name in the global lean community. Our topic is Takt production, which has become popular here in the Finnish construction industry. Aleksi, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
What exactly is Takt production?
Takt time is one essential piece in the Toyota production system of just in time. And then Takt time is something that has been missing from lean construction previously. It is basically a parameter to balance capacities of different teams and manufacturing systems across big projects for a common rhythm and one demand. So it is a kind of parameter that you calculate to balance the capacities, and that's it. That's as simple as it can be. Like we made a very simple Takt plan for Laakso Hospital project, which is currently the biggest hospital project in Finland. It's 1 billion euro hospital, and it was like 5 years before anybody started any construction there. We decided that we're gonna build it with a production rate of 200 square meters per day, which means that if you are installing cable trays, you have to install cable trays for the area of 200 square meters of hospital in one day. And if you are building the frame, you calculate how many square meters you have in one floor, and then you kind of from there you count how fast you have to raise the frame up, and everything was kind of connected to the same pace and same production rate, and then it was kind of easy. We ended up with something like 489 Takt areas. So those about 200 square meter pieces on average, to kind of explain to all different trades that what is the timeline of their subcontract. It was for everybody that same 489 work days. So it simplifies the whole construction process, and it simplifies orchestrating all different teams. Like Takt comes into the Japanese language as well, into the Japanese Toyota production system from Germany, and Takt means the rhythm in a musical composition, which connects the whole orchestra together so that they know how fast they're gonna play.
Yeah, that's very good. But to get to, let's say, 1 day Takt time or even 3 hour Takt time, which I've also heard in Finland, it has taken a little bit of effort in development and training and learning and so on. How did we get here where we are now in Finland, where we have, I think, have had hundreds of Takt projects already?
Well, even by myself, like 2 years ago, I started to work in a construction business in Finland 2016, and then in about 7 or 8 years, I was involved in about 50 different projects, doing or trying to do Takt. Most of them did. So the way I learned Takt production was in the cruise ship cabin refurbishment, and there we were doing 15-minute Takt time. So all the teams were changing to a next cabin in 15-minute beat. from there on, I just kind of started to figure out how can we apply this in kind of normal construction, and then started doing one-day Takt with first project was a residential new build, and then very shortly came some office buildings, not so repetitive space, and other kind of projects. But the big thing was talking to different people. First, when I googled lean construction in Finland, I got visions Lauri Merikallio's name in the Google search results, and then I called him and asked, who should I talk in construction, and he gave me two names, and then I started to do some projects, and then quite soon after, I got interested about Aalto University, what's going on there, and then I called Olli Seppänen, and he got interested about Takt, and we wrote a paper into IGLC about cabin refurbishment and Takt there, and so on. So it started, and it was really important to get these different parties to develop Takt almost like an open source mentality, that Aalto University was sharing best practices, and there was Rhine, which was a consortium under Lean Construction Finland for different general contractors, and then there was IPT, so which came from Finnish Integrated Project Delivery consortium of different public and semi-public owner representatives. So we had these different kind of consortiums developing Takt as almost like an open source. And as we are a small market, 5.5 million people and 30 billion construction sector, when we get 150 or even 400 people in lean construction seminar into the same room, things go really fast.
Where are we today? What is the state of the art in Finland in Takt?
Well, now I've been working with new build cruise ships at Meyer Turku for 1.5 years. But I believe the state of the art in Finnish construction sector is that all the big construction companies are talking about Takt production, and they are saying that they are doing Takt production, and I believe most of them are actually doing it. But it's, to my understanding, it's still the best teams and it's the best projects who are doing it well, and others are kind of mimicking and following. And then in the kind of in case of publicly listed construction companies, they are talking more about Takt production in their strategy section of annual report, rather than when they are talking about their balance sheet or their profit and loss statement. So it's more in the strategy department still. But I guess they are little by little doing also better profit and with a kind of reduced working capital.
But what are the actual benefits that companies have been able to achieve? Is it just shorter lead times, or is there something? Is money involved?
Of course, money is involved, and like you said, it is a strategic choice. I would say that it can be, and it is a good strategic choice, but it doesn't necessarily have to be strategic. Well, unfortunately, we've had lots of news about war lately. So I started to dig into US Army doctrine, how they kind of view their operating model. And they are explaining it on tactical, operational, and strategic level. So you can get good results from Takt production already on the tactical level. You just make a little better schedule, and that's it. But to achieve a bigger results and bigger benefits, you have to kind of do operational level change, which means you have to change the role of logistics and separate the logistics from value-adding work and integrate logistics under one logistics operator. And I think it's very interesting that for example, the U.S. Army doctrine says that you cannot do that kind of level on the tactical level of leadership. So you have to go above the tactical command to be able to actually do it. And not many companies have been able to do it. We have some great results from, for example, from Hahtela, who have done it, and at Laakso Hospital they are doing it, but it's not so common. And then even less common is to kind of take it on a strategic level and really start thinking about what if we do all these tactical and operational level changes, what does it mean for the company strategy? When I'm talking to the heads of business unit about Takt production, and I'm asking them, so what is actually your yearly production rate? How many bathrooms are you doing per year if they are into residential construction? People don't think kind of Takt in the strategic level, like, we are doing 1.5 bathrooms per day, and how do we get the work supply and where is the demand? Well, currently, unfortunately, in Finland, it doesn't seem to be anywhere for residential. But when it ramps up again, then so you can have different benefits on different levels. But what kind of instigator like me or consultant looking for the kind of next peak performance is looking for is somebody who really wants to take and transform the business on a strategic level. There are some companies who have tried to kind of change their strategy into industrial construction. In Finland, we had Lehto, and I guess Katerra internationally is one of the biggest examples. I just hope that they had thought more about Takt and how to standardize and how to keep the working capital low enough.
Yeah, I agree. But you mentioned already Toyota, and Toyota is, for example, talking about the Toyota production system. So it's a system that their business system, basically.
Of course, things cannot be moved from one industry to another without adaptation, but it's a good place to start copying, and once you know what you're doing, then you might start getting better ideas.
Yeah, I know that tech production is filled with concepts like wagons and trains and one-piece flow and things like that. But if you go to a company who doesn't know anything about Takt already, where do you start explaining, or how do you get the ball rolling, basically?
Well, I think it's very important to be able to talk to different stakeholders from their perspective. Of course, it's important to at one point to understand the basic principles that we have. A wagon is like a conveyor belt operator. or team of operators in one conveyor belt position, and since the products don't move, the wagons have to move, and then we have this train, which is a kind of it's referencing to the whole conveyor belt and the whole production system and things like this. So to go through the basics, but so that is the kind of what part. But then the why is much more interesting, and how. So when we are talking about the benefits, it's a different thing to talk to a superintendent and supervisors about stress reduction and situational awareness and keeping the deadlines. They are interested about that. Then the general construction business unit is important about the reduction of time-dependent overheads in their project. Of course, everybody's interested about safety, and once you start standardizing and making things easier to manage and reduce spaces getting overcrowded, it improves the safety. So that is a common for everybody. Everybody's interested about safety, and the owner is interested about the quality. We can talk about the reduction of throughput time, which is the kind of time it takes from the first construction activity to the last construction activity in one single space. How can we reduce that throughput time, and how it improves the quality, and how it makes the quality management easier, because you avoid the same mistakes in the coming spaces which haven't been completed yet. So people are interested of different things, and it's quite important to kind of sell the idea of better construction operations for different stakeholders in a different way.
If we think about the challenges of implementing Takt, what are the is it cultural, or is it about training, or what are the challenges that typically you face when you implement Takt?
In addition to understanding the barriers of Takt in tactical, operational, and strategic level, I like to think different faculties or different sciences. We have the human sciences, we have the technical sciences, and then we have the commercial or juridical sciences, which kind of plays the part of agreements in construction. Agreements and how people are made responsible within a company. So I think it always starts from the technical expertise. You have to be able to do a sound Takt schedule, but that's not so difficult, because there's kind of plenty of help available, and it's kind of fairly easy to kind of do a good Takt schedule with the team and get the buy-in from a construction team once they have participated in doing the construction schedule and doing the Takt schedule. So it's the technical part is usually the easiest, at least when you hire some help. Then it's a lot more difficult to get the kind of human sciences together. How do you manage the deviations? Is it a good thing or bad thing to notice a deviation? So if people are lacking some psychological safety, it's always, you don't want to take any deviations into talks, because you might get blamed yourself, or then you don't want to be the bad guy blaming your colleague or somebody else. So they are silenced until they are very expensive to fix. And then that comes usually from the contracts. So the commercial and juridical sciences, which are kind of, these people don't usually hang out together when they are studying their topics. The kind of human sciences, technical sciences, and juridical and commercial. They don't play so much together. So this is quite rare to have this kind of common understanding of how these different fields affect each other. But it comes from the agreement and especially from the way people read their agreement. But then there are some kind of great exemptions that no matter what the agreement says, the spirit and the leadership in the construction project or in a construction company can be very different, and people also overcome these things. We have done a great deal of work into the alliance agreement, for example, in Laakso Hospital, and in the kind of team building to make a great learning system of the technical solution, of the people management and the values and the agreements.
If anybody listening right now would want to start their Takt journey, so to speak, where should they start?
The best thing is to start with the project. Yeah, I cannot appreciate that kind of strategic talk with the PowerPoints that much, because I actually try to avoid these things where there's senior leaders and then there might be some poor superintendent which is kind of getting aimed. Maybe you should try Takt, and then senior leaders are in the room and they are talking about their perceptions, whether Takt production fits into their business and into this project. And it's most of the time, if that happens for the first project they are trying to do it with Takt, it's complete waste of time. It's much better to take the team and invest 1 week of Takt planning, some basic training in the beginning, and some basic theory, not too much, maybe 2 or 3 hours, but then start planning a Takt for the project. And once they have planned Takt for that project, let the construction team and the superintendent tell for the senior leaders what they think about, what are the obstacles to execute this kind of a plan. Because then they actually know what they are talking about. We are not then anymore talking about whether Henry Ford's conveyor belt fits into this construction project and whether we can standardize something which is not so repetitive.
I think that we can now maybe do some myth busting, and I have a few questions that I want you to answer. Starting with the myth number 1, Takt only works for repetitive hotels or hospitals.
It is easier to do in repetitive space, but I would say when it is well planned, it provides more value in non-repetitive space. Like, for example, Helsinki Airport, where we got 4 months lead time reduction. It is a bit like, standardization is a bit like, is your glass half full or half empty? Can you standardize something or can you not? So if you can standardize something, it makes it so much better for everybody in the project.
Myth number 2, it's too rigid. If one person is late, the whole project stops.
It's no more rigid than any other construction system. You just see the deviation faster. So then you can do something about it.
Number 3, Takt is just a way to stress out the workers and work them harder.
Absolutely not. Of course, you can use any tool to suppress people. In the heart of Toyota production system is Mura and Muri also next to Muda, which is the common waste we are talking about. And Mura and Muri, they are about, let's not overburden people and let's level the workload. So Takt is actually a tool to level the workload and make sure that nobody has overburden.
Okay, so less stress, in fact. Yeah. Okay, and my final myth on the list is you need a massive, expensive software suite to make this work.
Absolutely not. It is not about having a software. Software can help, especially when you are changing the plan and you are publishing and you are managing it. But the softwares that I've been using, they actually need a good plan for the input. And so far, I haven't come across any better planning tool than Excel. So I've been using Excel to first publish it, but then when you have published it first time, then to kind of continuously update the plan.
Okay,
So you will benefit from softwares, but they are not very expensive. It's not that is not expensive, but
okay.
you can manage also without.
So do you have any other myths to add to this list?
People are very often thinking about, what is a good project and what kind of a project type is perfect to start doing Takt. I would say it's never about the project type. It is more about the team and the time. So if you are too late into a project and things have been agreed already and the subcontracts have already been signed, then it's difficult. But it's more about the people and the right time.
Okay, very good. So finally, if our audience wants to learn more about Takt and maybe contact you, how can they do that?
Well, my phone number, LinkedIn, and the email. Give me a call. And there are plenty of good articles about Takt around in IGLC, and yeah.
I read somewhere that you were planning to write a book. Is that still on the agenda?
It's still on the agenda. It's a kind of not the kind of. It could be a higher priority, but it's coming there, most likely. And
Okay.
and the book is about second industrial revolution, 100 years late.
Thanks, Aleksi. I want to remind you about the AI in AEC conference, which will take place in Helsinki and online on March 18th and 19th, 2026. Go to aiaec.net to register. The early bird registration is over, but use the code AEC Business in capital letters to register at the early bird rate. Thanks, and see you there.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe to this podcast and visit aec-business.com, the award-winning blog, for more news and stories.